everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taco Matta Tuesday, the show where we eat healthy, delicious tacos and have conversations about life. Worrying gets you nowhere. If you show up worrying about how you're going to perform, then you've already lost. Train hard, turn up, run your best, and the rest will take care of itself. A great quote by Usain Bolt that I think highlights everything that's important. If we worry about all the things that could go wrong, about all the things that could happen, quite honestly, then we are not spending our mental energy and focus in the places that it matters most. When it's time for the gun to go off, we should be in a celebratory, gratitude-based space. And that's what I want to talk about today, you guys, is it's literally ticking time bomb for me right now. The time is ticking down. I leave in 72 hours for DEKA World Championships. And this for me is the biggest race of the year. This is my capstone. I've been working all year towards this specific race. And I want to give you some insight into a mental plan for game day and some common errors that come along with that, especially when the gun's getting ready to go off and you're getting ready to start your race. What are some things that could be causing you to not have your best performance possible? So we are going to go back into the book, The Champion's Mind, How Great Athletes Think, Train, and Thrive. I know I've been reading about it and talking about it for the last several weeks now. This is the last little piece, and I'm excited to bring this content to you. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about the taco of the week. I feel like we've needed some vegetarian tacos. I feel like it's been a while since I've done that, but I wanted to put a fun twist on it, and I wanted to really highlight some of my favorite ingredients, specifically a company, Siete, that has some of the best taco seasoning, and they have awesome chips. Awesome tortilla chips. And they also have really good tortilla shells. Really big fan of their grain-free shells. If you haven't tried them, you should definitely go try them. But they're made from a cassava flour base. So they're a little bit more carb conscious. And I just like their whole food ingredients. So this week's taco is featuring the Siete taco shells, but it is specifically the fried avocado taco, because who doesn't like avocado? And who doesn't like things that are fried? I do, and I like it when it's healthy, delicious. So there we go. If you're interested in checking out the recipe for the week, be sure to go to the show notes before the end of the episode to grab the recipe card. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and jump on in. So episode for this week is all about the mental plan for game day and some of the common errors that occur on game day. So how do we get out of those common errors, and how do we really jump into focusing our mental energy on what matters? I will share this, you guys. If you are not planning, you're going to plan to fail. That's essentially what this is. I, for the last couple of weeks, have not only been visualizing how things are going to go for me during the actual race, but I've also been very meticulous around what it is that I'm going to be doing in the days leading up to it, the moments leading up to it, what happens after that as I get prepared for the next one, because I will be doing 6 total races in the span of 2 days. I have to stay dialed in. I have to stay focused during this. So if you are walking in to something that is important to you, a physical endeavor, competition, presentation, something that is really matters to you, and you don't have a plan, and a plan that's adjustable and adaptable based off the situation, then we need to really hone into that. That's going to be step number 1. So let's talk about the mental plan for game day. So I have 4 pieces of a mental plan for game day that you guys could each go through and create based off of what you feel is missing. And I'm hoping that all 4 of these steps really resonate today. The first one is, before you even create the plan, you have to assess your current state, and you have to assess where you're even at, right? You have to assess where your time and energy is going mentally, and think about, are those things actually serving me, right? You also have to think about all the things that are required and necessary on game day from a mental perspective, and do you have those in lock, right? And so I think at first it's maybe hard to think about what all of those characteristics and things are that we need to think about. So what I wanted to do was bring in an aid, again, coming from the Champion's Mind book, is there is a section that actually has a mental game scorecard. And so I'm just going to read these things off. And actually, this would be a great opportunity if you are in a place where you have pen, paper, or even just your phone to write down in your notes. I'm going to read a section off that actually has the scorecard and the different areas for you to rate yourself on. So that way, at the end, I can give you an assignment and you can go through and be like, these are the areas of opportunity that are going to really, really, really help shape and transform my plan for game day. So here's a working mental game card that you can use to quickly measure the mental state of your game. Take a few minutes right now to review your performance in training and competition for the previous 3 months. Rate your current mental abilities from 1 to 10, 1 being low, 10 being the highest it can be, honestly and accurately for the following mental skills. So here we go. Mental skill number 1, goal setting. I have clear daily improvement goals, and I know exactly what I want to accomplish in the long term. So rate your current mental abilities for goal setting and the ability to do that. The second thing is mental imagery. I vividly see and feel myself performing well. So it's not just being able to see it, but doing it to a point where it makes you feel something. So how would you rate yourself in mental imagery? Up next is self-talk. I keep my thoughts simple, positive, and powerful. Okay, so is your self-talk pretty positive? Is it to the point? Does it help serve the goal that you have, or is it the demise of the goal that you have? Okay, so what do you feel about self-talk? Confidence. I have a can-do attitude when I need it the most. So how would you rate your confidence for your next big endeavor? Focus. I stay on target and in the moment. So what are your abilities to focus and stay present within this particular moment? Breath control. I can easily and deeply under pressure. I breathe easily and deeply under pressure. I don't know if I read it that way, but how's your breathing when it comes time for the big thing to happen? Do you notice that it's pretty short breath? It's what a lot of people, including myself, fall into. So how would you rate your personal breath control? Up next is mental toughness. I do what is hard and stay positive under adversity. Up next, we have a few more. Anxiety management. My butterflies fly in a formation. So how do you feel your anxiety management is on the big day? Enjoyment. I incorporate fun, play, and humor into my game and avoid being serious, dull, and uptight. Yeah. How many of you are feeling like a stress ball? Or do you feel like on the day of you're just able to settle in and enjoy? Body language. I carry myself as a champion. Think of things like the smile on your face or the lack thereof. Your shoulders, are they falling forward? Is your chest up and proud? Do you walk with confidence? What does that look like? Intensity. My energy level stays just right for the situation, not too up and not too down. This is a really important one. So what's your ability to find that state and where you can perform your best? All right, and for the last one is personal affirmations. I regularly repeat my power phrases with meaning and conviction. Okay, so all of those should be scored on the scale of anywhere from 1 to 10. Again, 1 being lowest, 10 being the highest. And you want to see what the score of everything is. So go ahead and tally everything up. The total score for personal assessment can range anywhere from 12 to 120, with the average score being around 60. The goal, you guys, according to the book, is you want to build your mental game so that your total score is at least 84, equal to a 7 or more for each item, okay? But really what I want you to use this for is, because this is not just a short-term thing, you guys. This is a long-term game plan, right? But I hope through assessing this, at least, you know, if you're competing at DECA World Championships with me and you feel like there's a couple of areas that you're really struggling within, well, you can't get any fitter, but you can mentally get stronger, I think, in the next couple of days. And I also think that you can mentally totally crap yourself out too. And so I think that taking the top 2 to 3 that you notice are on the lower side, that you don't feel as confident within, those are the ones that you really want to go after over the next couple of days. And so I know for me, for example, the ones that I found that I personally wanted to work on, these weren't necessarily my lowest, but I knew that if I really focused in on these ones, that I would give the performance and show up the most authentic version of myself. And that was mental imagery. So making sure that every time I practice it, I was practicing it with the most positive outcome in mind, but I was also practicing it if something went awry, me actually solving the problem and finding the solution. One thing that I've read recently in this book is that we can't sit here and seek perfection. As athletes, especially at the elite level, that's just not healthy. And honestly, you guys, competition, when it comes to the competition day, it's not about performing at your top. It's not about performing with absolute perfection. It's about the ability to adjust and adapt while in stride, right? And so I want to also use this mental imagery time that I have to, let's say something went wrong, right? How would I overcome that so that when it's time for me to do that, I don't like flip out. I'm like, okay, on to plan B. The other thing that I really wanted to focus on is confidence, right? Like being able to confidently say, I know that if I run my own race and if I play my cards right, there is no doubt that I will be on top of several podiums this weekend. Like confidently, after all of the work I've put in this last year and just the belief I have in myself and my team, I know that we're going to do amazing things. And so I wanted to just have a few things to really zone in on that confidence. Last thing for me was focus. And it's the focus of not looking at the entire staircase, because when you look at some of these races and thinking like, holy cow, like this is a lot. Well, it's being able to say the only thing I need to do is take step one. That's the only thing I need to do is take step one, and I need to do the first run. That's my first task for the entire weekend. I just need to run 160 meters, right? And focusing on that 160 meters, not necessarily the whole end of the race up into the burpees. Otherwise, guess what happens? You start to freak yourself out. You start to hyperventilate, and that's where the stories, that's where the bad wolf starts to come in. So just being able to focus on the moment that you're in, win that moment by just pure execution, which is everything that you've prepared for up until this moment, okay? So that is the first part of building a mental plan for game day, is assess your current state, get your scorecard in place, and then start to figure out an action item list of what are the few areas that you really need to hone into, okay? Now from there, the second thing for creating a mental game plan for game day is to therefore create an adaptable routine. Okay, so notice that I use the word adaptable because we could think out this elaborate routine of how we're going to wake up that morning and we got the best night of sleep, and then we get to go and stretch for an hour, and then, we go to the race venue and everything's on time, and you get to warm up for as long as you want to, and everything feels great. Wouldn't that be a dream? If any of you have competed in your life, you will know that that is not the case, right? So we can think of the ideal, or we can have a routine of like, these are the things that I know that I need to do. But if something happens, okay, well, here's plan B, or this is how I can flip the switch or adjust or just take a minor turn, right? So being adaptable within that routine is super important. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about with routine, I'm talking about everything that's leading up to right before you race, right? So from when you wake up into the morning to what it is that you're thinking about, what are the things that you need to get ready? Even I would say back it up even into the night before, right? How many hours of sleep are you getting? Do you have all your stuff packed beforehand? What are the last thoughts you're going to have before you go to bed? What are the last things you're going to do before you go to bed? Like all the way through, like get maniacal about it, right? And here's the best thing, you guys, is that this doesn't have to be like the most pristine plan in the entire world. In fact, I hope that it's not perfection, okay? This needs to be what works. So what I want you to do when I ask you these questions next on, your routine, what's going to help you build that routine, is not think about how you wish everything would ideally go, but think back to a race or a moment in time where you were successful, where you felt really good about the performance. Think about what you did in the days leading up to the moments leading up to that race. That worked, right? I can tell you right now, you guys, when I ran my first Decamile race ever, which is the same race that I qualified with for the Elite Wave, that I will be doing my very first race at World Championships on Saturday. I literally was like, I'm just going to do the warm-up that I know how to do, and I'm just going to go for it. Like, I say that with a grain of salt, being like, I definitely had a plan, right? As far as like the paces that I wanted to hit, the warm-up that I wanted to do. But like, I was just so easy going mentally around like, this is just an opportunity for me to check a list and to celebrate how far I've come and just see what this race style feels like. I've never done this before. Like, let's just go for it. And it worked. And it wasn't necessarily the lack of preparation that I think worked. I think it was, quite honestly, just the ability to let go, right? Doing the things that matter, that allowed for me to let go of the outcome and just say, all right, let's just let it rip. Let's just have a good time. And just being so easy going with it, that's what's going to allow for me to do really, really well. So just to give you some examples here and to give you some things to think of, here are some things to think about to do before a game to set the right tone. So first thing, do you listen to your favorite songs? Like, do you have a playlist? I know that I'm going to have some playlists ready based off of the race that I'm doing, because there are certain songs that get me in the mood for certain races where I just turn up and I'm like, yo, this is it, right? The second thing is, do you spend a few minutes visualizing optimum performance? So does that happen before you go to bed? Does that happen as you wake up? Does that happen also right before you race? Like, when are you taking the time to do that? Call me crazy, you guys, but when I competed Ninja and I needed to like get away from everyone and everything and just visualize what the heck I was going to do, I literally went to the bathroom, not because I had to go pee, but because I wanted to lock myself in a silent space and just actually see myself doing the things. So whether you're locking yourself in the bathroom or you're going into a corner or you're facing a wall, like, take the time to separate yourself and actually do that. Actually go through and see yourself with the win in each moment of the race. The next thing, do you practice slow, deep breathing to quiet your mind and steady your body? I can tell you that what I do is, when I wake up, the first thing that I will get up and do is I will go and foam roll, and I will scrape and I will stretch, and I will just quite literally focus on my breathing, because at that point in the day, that's when I realize I have some work to do. I have some shit to go execute. And so the adrenaline starts to kick in, and I have to tell it, hey, I'm excited that you're here, but not yet. Okay, you're going to stay there and I'm going to use you for good, but not yet. And I'm going to practice this deep breathing and making sure that I'm not shallow in my breathing, because the moment that I do that is the moment where I feel all over the place and I'm not able to mentally think through things, right? We want to be as easy and breezy as possible. And the best way to do that is go through your breath and focus on your breath. So do you have a breathing routine that you have for the moments leading up to it, or whenever that may be? Do you like to be social with your teammates, or do you stay in your own world? I love people for the most part. I can't believe you said that. I don't like people in cars. I don't like traffic. I don't like driving. I don't like those things, but I like people in other categories, okay? And I say that because when it comes to something like a race, if you're trying to talk to me before I'm about to race, I promise you I'm thinking about 30 other things, okay, about all the things that I need to do. And if anything, it's probably stressing me out more, and I feel really guilty and rude for not giving you the full attention that you deserve. So for me, I have to tell people, and I've told the people that I love on my team, when it's about the hour before, sorry, I have to go do my thing. I have to go be a little bit antisocial, because I need to go physically tap in. And I know if I don't get the warm up that I need to and the time with myself that I need to, it's gonna impact my anxiety, right? So think about that. Can you really thrive with other people around you while you're doing the warm up? Does it actually help you to be talking it out and like get some of the jitters out? Those are the things that you have to really think about. And better yet, follow that up with action by telling those people that you know that you're going to be around, like, hey, I love you, but when this time happens, I need to just put in my earbuds and we can be next to each other. I have no problem, but I'm going to need to go internal. Okay. The last thing, do you avoid interacting with negative people to stay in a good mood? Well, I hope so. That's all I have to say to that one. Okay. I hope so. All right. So big things there, you guys, is think about a time where you won and you felt really good about your performance. What were the key things from a routine perspective that worked for you? And then, is it adaptable? Can you replicate it if something was to go wrong, like your alarm didn't go off, you don't have as much time, the schedule got changed, whatever it may be? Are you able to adapt it on the fly so that way you can still put yourself in the correct space and state for when the big moment comes up, okay? All right, the next thing is going to be, for your mental plan for game day, you need to create a pre-game pep talk. You guys, I am so excited to talk about this one because over the weekend, I created a pep talk that I am going to read out to myself as I wake up and moments before I set down my phone to put myself in the right mental space. And so some things that they talked about during this are A, keep it simple, clear, and powerful. B, invoke previous success for confidence. Then tell yourself what you need to focus on to play your best. Remember that there is nothing to lose and everything to win. And lastly, make a decision to enjoy each moment. Okay, so based off of those things, create something that is your pregame pep talk. And I'm going to share mine with you right now. This is what you do. You are more dialed in than you have ever been before. And everything you need is already within you. This experience adds to your life. Never does it determine it. It's time to let it rip, trust your skills, and make a decision to enjoy each moment. So that is something that I'm going to tell myself before I race. And guys, if that gave you the chills, if that hit the right spot, feel free to take it. Feel free to take it and run with it. But at the end of the day, I hope that you were able to have something short and concise and powerful like that you can tell yourself before the gun goes off, okay? The last thing, you guys, in order to create a wonderful mental plan for game day is to get yourself some stellar race cues. I've talked a little bit about this on some of the previous episodes, but one of the exercises that I've given my girls that I'm coaching for World Championships this last weekend was to take out a pen and paper and to go through each part of the race from start to finish and write down what you need to think about when it comes time to execute that particular thing, right? So this goes back to this idea of focus that I had for myself. This was an exercise that I came up with for myself, and I wanted to share it to those that obviously I'm coaching. But this allows for me to focus in on the moment, on the thing that matters, not the millions of other things that are going on around me and the things that clearly don't matter, right? So again, take out a pen, a piece of paper, think about your race or whatever it is that you're going after from start to finish. And think about what it is that you need to think about, okay? I can give you an example of mine that when it comes to the skier, it gets right in the middle of the race. And quite honestly, I think that it is the most pivotal part of the race because if you go out too hot and heavy, it is one of those stations that can elevate your heart rate a lot. And for someone who has a lot of her strategy wrapped up in the back half of the race, the ski erg is something that I take a little bit more on the cautious side, okay? I'm going to be racing against people that are going to be probably 10 to 15 seconds faster than me on the ski erg alone. And so being able to put on my horsey flaps and go internal and think about what I need to think about is going to be absolutely critical for me in order for me to play my cards right and to run the race that I want to run, right? The race that I'm going to enjoy. So some things that I think about on the ski erg is I count, you guys. I quite literally will count. Okay, I will count up to 10 and then I will change how I'm pulling and count up to 10 again. And then I'll change how I'm pulling and count to 10 again, right? I don't need to go through the whole strategy here, but that's focusing on things that are not like, oh my gosh, they're going faster than me. People are leaving. Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose. But because none of that matters. But yet somehow the big bad wolf likes to come in right at that moment, right? And tell us all the things that don't matter. Okay. When I get to the bike, all I'm thinking about in that moment is not what's going to come after and not thinking about how everything's going to start to hurt a lot more after the bike. I'm just thinking about execution. I'm thinking about watching my RPMs, getting it up to that RPM that I know that I can get it up to, holding it, right? Like I have like a whole process around execution. And then I think about in that moment, win this moment. That's all I think about is win this moment because I know that my mind wants to creep around what's going to come. Win this moment on the bike, and when you get off, then you can worry about the run. But right now, all you're going to do is win this moment. When I get to the tank and when I get to the burpees and things start to feel long and you're really in a lot of pain, things that I'm going to think about are, don't make it more than what it is, right? This is just a workout. All you're doing is you're pushing something forward and you're stepping back with it, right? Don't get in your head again about what's to come or what this is or how bad it's going to continue to hurt. And the fact that you have 5 more laps to do, even though you feel like you've done 1,000,000 off of the first pole, right? This is it. You're just pushing something forward and you're pulling it back. That's it, right? Let your shoulders drop, breathe, come back to it. Just stay consistent, sister. Like, these are the things that I'm going to be talking to myself around that's going to help me just focus in, again, on what's most important and not freak out about what's going on around me and what's to come. So what can you do in your free time to think about, okay, I need to think about these specific things that I know if I think of these things, I'll stay on target, right? And it will not allow for all those negative thoughts and conversations to come into my head. All right, so mental plan for game day, reviewing. First thing is you want to assess your current state. The next thing is you want to create an adaptable routine. Following that, create a pre-game pep talk. And last but not least, create yourself a set of effective race cues. Okay. Going on to the last part of this podcast, okay, is just reading off some stuff from the book. And these things are all around common mental errors that happen during the race or on race day at some point. Okay. There's 3 of them that we're going to go over. And the first one is overemphasizing the outcome. Guys, this is a moment to let go of the outcome. I know that seems crazy because this is the capstone, this is the championship, this is everything that you've been working for, and all you want to do is do well. But at the end of the day, like, the outcome lasts for a moment. What lasts even more of that are the memories of you overcoming. Of the memories of you just presently enjoying every single moment of the ups and the downs. Those things last forever, right? Somewhere on an Instagram post or on a website, there will be your name of you being at the very top of the podium. But the things that create who you are as a human being and what creates your goals and your future endeavors and how you attack those come from these moments of just being presently so involved in what's going on in front of you. And that's the thing that matters, right? And so overemphasizing the outcome is not going to get you that. And at the end of the day, we know that that's not what's most important. If you are prone to overemphasizing the outcome when the spotlight is on, the mental correction that you need to make is to stop stressing yourself out about winning or losing. If you focus on the process, the score will take care of itself. Execute your game or race plan step by step, thinking only of what the next step is to take. As soon as you notice you have wandered off to thoughts of what's going on beyond your team or worrying about the final outcome, make the mental correction. Promptly redirect your focus back on your mission of mastering the here and now, making sure you are concentrating on doing your job. Work the process and keep it happening one good play at a time until the final whistle or until you've crossed the finish line. The outcome can wait. So that was the part from the book that I really wanted to read out to you guys. The second is trying too much. That is the second mental error, is trying too much. We think that, again, we have to play to perfection or we have to outdo everything that we've done to get here in order to get the outcome that we want. Guys, do you realize that it's because of what we've done in the past that that's the reason why you're standing here today? Truly. Sometimes I have to go back and remind myself that is the whole reason that I'm here is because I deserve to be here, is because I worked for it over the last year. And I get the opportunity to be here, right? So I don't need to overdo it. I just need to do what I do best, right? And so I want to read you this. Trying too hard is a mental error that athletes make because they arrive overeager to play due to the anticipation and expectation that naturally surrounds that contest, as well as mistakenly believes that they need to play better than their previous best. Rather than trying too hard and becoming tense and reckless as a result, simply play consistently through the whole game. There is a false belief that you must make a Herculean effort or have a superhuman performance because of the circumstances. However, making this mental error will deplete your energy and only move you away from what's made you successful in the first place. This last part, and I posted this to my story, which is all around being authentic and genuine to yourself. The mental correction that you need to make is to stick to what you know has made you successful, including your regular routine on the day of competition. You deserve to be in this situation. If you are well prepared, you do not need to change anything else right before or during the game that you haven't already worked on prior to in practice. Do your normal excellent job and battle to the best of your abilities. Nothing else is needed. Trust your talent you have from your training, and be instinctive with your decision making and automatic with your physical skills. Enough said, right? Like, that is just truly, again, going back to what matters and being able to find that trust within yourself that when it's time to go into that flow state and time to execute, that you can do it. Last thing is the final mental error, tracking the negative. That's a pretty self-explanatory one, but I'll read this for you guys. There is a frequent misconception that every play, shot, or possession by you or your teammates must be perfect in order to win. However, making this mental error will only move you from being up to being uptight. Okay, so I talked about this earlier already, was this idea that in order to perform the way that we want to, we have to do it in perfection. Everything in the process leading up to has to be perfection. Guys, that's not life. That's not athletics especially, but it's definitely not life. Okay? Always make a commitment prior to performing that you will do your best to take whatever happens out there in stride. Emotionally rebound and let go of the negative events or mishaps that will happen in the course of events on the day of competition. This champion attitude will help you stay cool and confident for the whole game and allow your talent to carry you forward. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today. And if you felt that this podcast truly resonated with you, please be sure to share the podcast with friends and family, or rate and review the podcast if you've not done so. You guys, I am rooting for you. Every single one of you on the other side of this that is getting ready to step up to the plate and do something that puts you in discomfort. Right? Being in this place of discomfort is where we truly grow and become the person that we want to be. So whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's joining me in Ocala, Florida for DECA World Championships, or again, doing something else here that's super important to you, I am so proud of you for stepping into this space and putting yourself to the test. I promise you will not be upset about it. I am so excited to come back next week and tell you all about the behind the scenes of my experience during the races and all the lessons that I learned. But until then, you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you guys on the other side. See you then.